What's going on, everyone? Welcome into the Cleveland Browns Report. Hope everyone is enjoying a stress-free Sunday. That's the beauty of winning on Thursday Night Football. You get to sit back on Sunday, watch Red Zone, and not have to worry about your whole week being ruined. But on today's show, we're going to talk about some Anthony Walker replacements. I hate doing these types of videos because you never want to do these types of videos. But Walker on on IR, the season-ending injury. So now we're going to look at some other options. So before we look at where Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski might turn to replace the green dot number 5 on this defense, let's show A-Walk some love in the comment section. Let him know the Dog Pound wants to see him back on the field as soon as possible by typing his jersey number 5 down in the comment section below. So before we talk about trades or free agency, right, all that fun stuff, I think the first place the Browns are going to look to find their next starting middle linebacker is going to be in their own backyard, right? It's going to be the next man up mentality, and that is Jacob Phillips, a former third-round pick out of Louisiana State, who's had, in my opinion, a pretty strong start to the season in two regards. One, he's been healthy. That has not always been able to say to start the season. Two, when he came off the bench for Anthony Walker this season in Week 3 against Pittsburgh, I thought he played the best football we have seen so far from him. Now, over at Pro Football Focus, they were a little bit harsher, okay? Overall, they've given him a grade of 38.0. That's not good. Don't look at it as 38 out of 100 because no one gets to 100. Think of it more as like 38 out of like 90 because no one really, except for Tom Brady, gets above 90. Now, Week 3 was his best grade yet, 55.3. In fact, he's been getting better and better as the weeks have progressed. Run defense lacking, pass coverage lacking, but the pass rush, 71.3. Here's the deal with Pro Football Focus. You use them when it fits your narrative. Otherwise, they're idiots and they don't know what they're talking about. But he did have a sack. He was good on Thursday night against the Steelers when he came off the bench. We have seen some great flashes from Phillips. And might this be, I hate to do this to Anthony Walker, but a happy accident where now you get to see Phillips, whether you want to or not, getting a lot of minutes. And you can learn a lot about him. You can figure out if he's going to be, one of the two starting linebackers for years to come with JOK. Now, if things don't go well, whether it's Jacob Phillips or Tony Fields or Jordan Kunaszyk, whatever it may be, whether it's another injury that pops up, the Browns are going to at least look at free agency and see if anyone's in shape, right? Call the agent, bring him in for a workout, and see if anyone is even shaking their offseason dad bod and can move up and down the field. One notable name that's still on the street is Blake Martinez. Blake Martinez, and we'll talk about another guy in a little bit, was tied for the most tackles in the NFL back in 2017 with 144. Now, last season with the Giants, he had his injury. He had his season cut short due to an ACL injury. But 2020 with the G-Men, he was this team's Anthony Walker, right? 151 tackles, 11 tackles for loss, couple forced fumbles, 3 sacks. The thing with Blake Martinez is he's kind of got cinder block for feet at times. And when you look at these tackles, you go, well, why wouldn't you want to bring this guy on, right? This is awesome numbers right here. Yeah, but where are those 151 tackles coming from? Is it coming from him chasing down tight ends? You let slip past him in the seam, running backs in the flat? It's not. It can be a bit deceiving. Now, here's an interesting thing about Blake Martinez. He was working out for the Ravens about a week and a half ago when Baltimore was going through their usual run of injuries. The Ravens opted not to sign him. That might tell you a little bit about where Blake Martinez is. Usually when teams bring veterans in for workouts, it's a little bit of, hey, we just want to make sure you're not fat and slow as shit and you can still play football, which we are assuming you can. Pass the physical, let's get you on the practice squad, and then after a week, we'll elevate you. The fact that Martinez did not make it on the Ravens practice squad might tell you where he is at. All right, another guy to check out here is Alexander Johnson. This is a bit of an interesting story because Alexander Johnson is not some 8-year vet who is now towards the end of his career. Actually, he's only played 4 football seasons. He was I wouldn't say late bloomer. He had some legality issues get in the way of him arriving to the NFL scene. But for the Denver Broncos in 4 seasons, he's had some good seasons. Last year, he had a pec injury. You're also going to notice a trend here. A lot of these linebackers are still free agents, are coming off injuries. That's just true for any free agent when it's almost October. But in 2020, he played and started in all 16 games for Denver, 124 tackles, 4 for loss. He is a much more, I would say, reliable player than any other free agent you're going to see out there. The question is, where's that pec injury at? Because the fact that you've heard nothing about this type of player is a bit of a alarm bell going off. Where is he at here? All right, we're going to get to more coverage and more guys to check out in just a second. But first, if you are looking for a free Browns YouTube channel, it's completely free here. The only cost is how much it takes you to move your finger and hit the red button. That's all it takes here at the channel. Join nearly 13,000 strong here by hitting that red sub button. All right, the next replacement option via free agency, a familiar name, Joe Schobert. Someone Browns fans know quite well. Started his career in Cleveland, went to Pittsburgh, then Jacksonville. We'll run through some of his stats and where I lean on bringing back a familiar face in just a second. But first, our proud sportsbook partner, BetUS, continues to put out awesome deals for the Dog Pound, including a 125% deposit bonus when you go to chatsports.com/bet. Use promo code Browns125. And if you want to bet on the Browns, which right now, I'm going to lay off for a week, right? I love the Lions this week. I've talked about that, +6. I wanted to have big enough kahunas to go for the money line. Thank God I did not. But whatever you're feeling on Sunday, put your mouth where your money is, or put your money where your mouth is over at chatsports.com/bet. Promo code Browns125. All right, Joe Schobert. He kind of falls in this Blake Martinez camp where the Broncos brought him in for one preseason game when they had some injuries at inside linebacker. And he lasted, I don't even think, a full week at Mile High before they released him and were like, yep, your best days are behind you. You cannot help in pass protection, decent in run stopping. We have seen enough here. Now, Joe Schobert last season for the Steelers was one of those linebackers where a lot of empty stats, right? This is what I'm talking about. 112 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, an interception. But if you ask Steelers fans, what were your thoughts on 45 last year? They're pretty happy that he's moved on and he is no longer with the Steelers. In fact, after leaving the Browns, you might remember, went to Jacksonville, got a decent contract in free agency. It didn't take the Jags regime all that long to go, yeah, you are not this modern linebacker we're looking for that can help cover tight ends as they get used in the seam more, and running backs, and even players out of the slot. This isn't 1985 anymore. If you cannot help in pass protection and pass coverage, we'll go a different direction. We'll find someone that can move up and down the field. At the end of all this, it's fun to talk about trades. It's fun to talk about signing players. What are the Browns ultimately going to do? They're going to start with Jacob Phillips and Tony Fields and Jordan Kunaszyk. If those 3 guys can't cut it after a game or 2 weeks of practice, might we see Andrew Berry look to free agency then? Right? Maybe look at someone else's practice squad. But for now, he might bring in someone just to fill that spot, right, as they move some people around from the practice squad to the active roster. But I don't think a very legitimate or contending name is going to roll into Berea and have Anthony Walker's old job by Sunday against the Falcons. Now, let me throw this question at you guys before we pack it up and let you guys enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Should the Browns sign a linebacker? I guess what I'm really asking here is, are you confident in Jacob Phillips starting with this Browns defense? If you are, you don't know. Current room is fine as it is. Next man up. Or if you don't like the idea of Phillips and you want to go and see if Blake Martinez or Joe Schobert or one of these notable free agents still has a little bit juice left in the tank, like Melvin Ingram today. No one was talking about him. He's been awesome for the Dolphins. Just because they're old doesn't mean you can't squeeze a little bit left of football out of them for one more season.